Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker is now just a little over 2 months away from its official release by writer and director J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio, as well as creator George Lucas. That's all sitting ready to end the Skywalker saga and the sequel trilogy itself. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, what's really intriguing about Episode 9 is that we do know that this film is, of course, going to be a revelation film, answering many of the burning questions from The Force Awakens, while also giving us new twists and turns that's really going to change our view of the originals and, of course, the prequels as a whole. Now, beyond everything here related to Episode 9, we do know that George Lucas is heavily involved with, of course, the principal photography stage, post-production, you name it. They actually had him brought on board in late 2018 to adjust the first and second and as well as the third act of Episode 9. Now, on top of all this, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film, and one of the big unfortunate pieces about Episode 9 has to do with the scene that George Lucas actually created that was ultimately cut and scrapped by Disney and Lucasfilm for Episode 9. Now, specifically, it's explained that during the rewrites of the film, during the months of November and December of 2018, just late last year, is when George Lucas was stepping in as the role of a creator and was a big part of the adjustments to the second and third acts of the movie, where it's described that George had wrote a scene that was even partially filmed, that was said to include the Wills on the big screen, while Rey and Kylo Ren are said to connect with the Force in a different way that is said to evolve their powers. It's explained that originally George Lucas's original scene that he wrote for Episode 9, that was ultimately cut from the film, involved the Wills appearing in front of both Rey and Kylo Ren, guiding them through the Force. It's described that the scene was partially filmed through the practical effects, where Daisy and Adam were on set for the vital scene in the third act. However, it's explained that this was unfortunately cut and was said to be a revolutionary scene by George Lucas. However, it's described that this was left out due to it being too complex for the storyline and to save screen time for Palpatine and others in the third act of the film. It's said that the scene will make its way to the Blu-ray sometime in 2020. However, the scene was partially filmed. The scene would have went over the origins of the Wills and exactly how they were created from the very start that would change the Skywalker saga in a big way. So let's go over a couple of parts about this and why this is very unfortunate that this George Lucas sequence that he created was ultimately deleted and put to the wayside. Now, the fact that they are saving pieces of this for, of course, the Blu-ray of Episode 9 in 2020, most likely in April of next year. Usually we get the Blu-ray in March or April of, the following year after the movie releases, so that's one thing to look forward to as well. Now, the unfortunate thing about this is that this would have went through the actual origins of the Wills themselves. This would have really given the fans a real idea of what the Wills really are, exactly how they were created. Though we do know that the Wills created the universe and the galaxy, the biggest mystery of all has all to do with the Wills and exactly, how they were really created and exactly how that really all came out and about. That was going to be explained in The Rise of Skywalker in a scene with both Daisy and Adam as Rey and Kylo Ren actually seeing the Wills, and they actually created these puppets, these practical effects for the Wills, where this sequence was all done by George Lucas, but it was deleted and put to the wayside. Now, mind you, there are plenty of scenes by George in this movie, but this one in particular would have been by far, I think, that the most vital one in the Skywalker saga, basically telling the fans exactly, who the godlike beings really are and how they were really created and how it has such a massive effect on everything that comes before Episode 9 and everything that comes before the entire, Skywalker saga. So, with that being said, the Wills were actually created by George back in 1977, in case you guys did not know. This was a thing that actually was, a big concept by George that he wanted to introduce sometime after the original trilogy, though it never really happened. It never really was a big thing in Star Wars Legends per se. So the fact that they are touching on the Wills, like giving us little references here and there at minimum, is great, which we have been going over. But as far as appearances of the Wills, that's actually being put to the wayside, and the reason being is because it was actually said to be too complex for the overall storyline in the third act, and also as a way to save screen time for Palpatine and other characters out there. So I could really understand that, to the point where maybe it would be a little too complex for certain audience members that go ahead and see this film come this December. And not just that, I also believe that when we look at episode 9, the fact that they really are trying to use this as a foundation to create new Star Wars lore, it's very possible that they are saving the Wills for either another film in the future or maybe even a live-action TV series they'll show up for all we know, if they really wanted to go that way, right? Now, the last piece I just want to go over is that George Lucas, we do know that he's working very hard with JJ and Chris in order to create a very authentic Star Wars film that's going to feel very true to the franchise itself, which is very inspiring for sure. Anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.